Today I'm going to show you how to open up the GT86 taillight. We've got the 86 taillights in here for a giveaway actually that we're doing on TikTok. We've modified it so that all the LEDs light up as broken hearts. It's even got broken hearts here on the side. And now on to the tools that we'll be using. Highly recommend a foam pad of sorts so that you don't damage anything or accidentally scratch any lenses. Along that note, you're gonna want some cling wrap. Next up, to open the lights, I like using the ultrasonic cutter. It is expensive. It's about $300 or $400. Any type of ultrasonic cutter is gonna be the best cut line that you can get in a set of taillights. If you don't wanna buy this, because it is pretty expensive, you can also use Dremel. I like the diamond bit specifically because it's thin. I did get the attachment because this part right here gets insanely hot and it's hard to hold. With the attachment, it's a lot easier. Okay, so either using the ultrasonic cutter or the Dremel that we had is gonna get you 90% of the way. The rest of it, you're probably gonna have to use a hot knife, preferably something a little bit thinner than this. This is slightly too thick, and you'll see why whenever we actually start doing the cutting. Next up, just a regular old Phillips head screwdriver to get the screws out of the back. If you have, you can use some sort of impact with a Phillips bit on it, just makes it faster. Along that same note, I like to use little magnet trays like this just to keep track of the screws. Again, not necessary, but if you have it, use it. After that, I like to use various sizes of flathead screwdrivers so that I can pry the cut part away, pry the lens off. I do love using little tiny pocket screwdrivers so that you can get in there and not risk cracking the lens. We'll have all of this linked down below. Step one, lens protection. I like to get a lot forward, flip it over. Okay, step two is removing the connector because it goes right into the inner housing. And step three, removing screws. So the back housing here actually has 5 screws total. 3 of them are going to hold the front housing. 2 of them are just going to hold the LED module. So for right now, we're just going to remove the front housing screws. That one, and that one. The LED module will actually come out with the back housing. Wanted to show you this real quick. So these screws have like a little plastic thing and a little rubber thing. You're gonna wanna try and keep up with those because that prevents the water from leaking through the screws. If you don't have those, water will still be able to get in. If you do end up losing it, you can just put a dab of silicone all the way around the screw and it'll be watertight. Okay, set these screws aside. I also like to go ahead and pop the sockets out. I don't remove it completely. It just helps with getting the inner housing out. Otherwise, the bulb could get in the way and you could snap it. That's not fun. So just take it out, leave it like that. Okay, step 4, we actually get to start cutting. I already have the hot knife heating up so that we can cut right through here. But for now, we're just gonna use this guy. Ultrasonic cutter. You can also use the Dremel right here if you want to instead. I forgot to explain it before, but you don't have to use the marker, and we're going to speed up marking it and we're going to speed up cutting it. If you want to see a much more in-depth cut, you can just slow down the video or pause. That's just so the video won't be super long and super boring. So the line that I follow is right around here. It's right where the plastic has this little lip. It's a really simple line to follow. You can follow it all the way around. Okay, here we go. Turn on, start cutting. Time to switch to the hot knife. Through here, I can't reach the ultrasonic cutter in there to actually cut through this line. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to use a hot knife. It gets kind of ugly, but gotta do what you gotta do. This is where you'll need your screwdriver, specifically the pocket screwdriver, so that you can get in there and pry the back housing up. And if it's not coming up and it's starting to snag a little bit, definitely try to cut a little bit more, either with the ultrasonic cutter or the hot knife, just to make sure you don't crack or break anything, because that's the last thing you want to do. It does sound scary. There we go. Light module stays because we got those 2 screws back there. Got our inner housing right here and got our lens. Now the lens, you're gonna wanna make sure that you keep completely wrapped up. You don't want dust getting in anywhere. So as soon as you're done cutting it open, just go ahead, slap some more cling on there. All right, now we can set this to the side. Don't have to worry about dust. Okay, so now we're gonna take the light module off. Just take those 2 screws out. Just falls right off. We're gonna paint this and we're gonna add broken hearts all in here. Just go ahead and leave the screws in the back housing. Set the back housing aside with the lens. This housing, we don't actually have anything to take off. You can take off the reflector. Truth be told, I actually broke the other reflector off. There's probably a way to do it without breaking it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna paint this entire thing black, just like the other one. We're gonna have our 3 broken hearts right here. And yeah, then this one will be done. Unfortunately, this housing is not black, it's gray. We're gonna zap it anyway, just so that the paint adheres better, but it won't be black, so we do have to paint this. After the light is cut open and you have the inner housing out, then you can do your modifications, which we have actually done over here. Don't mind the new welding. To show you how we reseal the lights. First, obviously, you gotta put it back together to the point where you can reseal it. I've already bolted the inner housing to the back housing. All you're trying to do here is line up the back housing cut with the lens cut so that whenever you plastic weld it back, it's gonna hold and make a good seal. There's a few options you can use for plastic welding. I have this thing from Harbor Freight. It's not very good, I don't really like it. What I usually use is just a hot knife that I use to actually cut part of this open with. You can melt both sides of the housing at the same time and give it a nice weld look to it. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Should probably be wearing a mask, this smells really bad. Plastic welding is just step 1. What it does is add structure and it does help seal a little bit. But what can happen with plastic welding is a bunch of pinholes that will leak water. So what you need to do after that is use silicone. Now, the silicone that we use is specifically Silicone 2. If you use a different kind of silicone, it can shrink over time. We like black just because the housing is black. Will be linked below. Quick tip, have a throwaway rag sitting around for your silicone so you can wipe the excess off and keep your fingers clean, keeps the taillights clean. What you're looking for is as OEM as possible, which I know sounds ridiculous since we're kind of getting modifying it. And that is 1 layer sealed. What I like to do is let this cure up a little bit and then I do another pass over the whole thing to make sure that I got absolutely everything sealed up as watertight as possible. If you know of a different way or a better way that you found, please leave it in the comments below so that we can all learn, so we can all figure it out. Custom Lights is just all about sharing information so that we can figure out exactly the best way to open and reseal these things.